welcome back to my channel. My name is Wemimo and I'm also known as StartMamo5 and also known as TMO5 Kandoko. If you're new to my channel, welcome, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for always coming back. So today's video, in as much as I'm not happy bringing this video, I need to share it with you. And this is also, I'm hoping this video will serve as an eye opener and not to lose your guard regardless of wherever you worship. You might be a Christian, you might be a Muslim. Being a Christian, regardless of what denomination you attend, either Catholic, either Anglican, either Baptist, either Celestial, either Cherubim and Seraphim, regardless of what gathering you attend, you need to make sure that you are being alert, being vigilant. Don't just say because you are in the church that you are in the safest place. I'm telling you, by the time you listen to this story I'm about to share with you, you will know that at the end of the day, church is not really the safest of places to go, or some pastors are really not the kind of spiritual fathers you ought to have in your life. I don't believe in anything spiritual fathers or spiritual mother. I go to church mainly because I would love to be in the presence of God. I love to go in there, to showcase my heart, just to have a place of worship to speak to God. It's not because I have someone that I would only take decisions from, or I would only take a go or a yes from before I'm able to make a decision for my life. So with that being said, there's a story I'm about to share with you, and it's about a Nigerian pastor who was recently arrested and charged to court and then jailed with his wife. So I was surprised I didn't hear about this news, and I was not surprised at the end of the day, because this news was being restricted. There was a restriction on it for it to be shared publicly. So for the fact that I've only just come across it, goes to show why I was not aware of it. So yeah, that restriction have been lifted after this pastor was jailed and sent to prison with his wife. Only then was the restriction lifted, and then people were able, or news channels or news media were able to share this video or this news about the Nigerian pastor. So I will glancing down because this story is quite long and I'm going to try and shorten it as well. So who is the culprit? So the culprit we've got here is the pastor known as Michael Oluronbi. He is a 60-year-old Nigerian pastor who was based in Birmingham area of Edgbaston. If I'm not pronouncing that well, do let me know in the comment section. So Pastor Michael Oluronbi is a 60-year-old man who was found guilty of multiple rape charges against children and adults in his congregation, and this spanned for over 20 years. He started molesting and abusing raping female and male victims of his church from 1980, and his back was broken, as in this crime was revealed to the public in year 2018. You can imagine, from 1980 to 2018, do you know how many people will have fell victim of all the things he's been doing? So it goes on to show that there was another brave family of one of the victims who was questioning him, and this pastor admitted, like practically confessed to the crime, saying that it was the devil that made him committed the crime. They always lie on the devil, as if devil has no other name, as if they are the only ones that devil is after. They always lie over the devil. And you would imagine that a pastor who knows the Bible inside and out will not give room to the devil. And this is a pastor who also has a wife, and his wife Juliana was also part of his shenanigans, of his crime. So the length of crime involved in this case is a serious issue, and I'm going to be hearing my opinion as to people who also should be at fault. Okay, so let's run through the story. So it says here that Michael Oluronbi was found guilty of the offenses against 6 women and a man, and the police have said there might have been other victims. And if you hear this story at any point, or if you're aware of this story, I think this pastor has in any way molested you, you need to be getting in contact with the police. Okay, and also said that in some instances Michael Oluronbi convinced his victims to take part in spiritual bathing. This spiritual bathing is mostly common among Celestial Church members and Cherubim and Seraphim members. So they go to the sea or to the beach to go do some spiritual cleansing. So this was a tactic of this pastor Michael Oluronbi on how he was able to draw his victims closer to him. And also a number of his victims became pregnant, and he forced them to go have an abortion. Yes, they said he was molesting, abusing women and men. So a handful of his female victims became pregnant. Yes. And also, Oluronbi's wife Juliana was convicted of 3 counts of aiding and abetting, RAPE. So she knew about what her husband was doing, and she kept on supporting him as well. So it was mentioned that this Pastor Oluronbi is a feared evangelical pastor in the area of Birmingham, and he was in the act for over 20 years with the help from his wife. So as we all know, Pastor Oluronbi, I can call that name well, is a Nigerian because I'm a Nigerian, so I know how to pronounce that name really well. And it was, as according to the news here, he was found guilty of the offences against 6 women and a man. 5 of the women attended his church. So like I said, he confessed in a video to one of the victims' family, and I'm going to be playing that video here so you guys can watch it. Okay?
To be human, I wasn't meant to live under the roof of any human being. And I said that I was an animal.
You did not accept that you were a pedophile, even though you're a pedophile.
Well, I didn't. It's only here when I came to this country
that you know that that's the name they give to your type.
Well, fine.
Did you guys hear from that video where he said that it was the devil that prompted him? Like, you know, he accepted to be in a PEADO, no, that spelling. He accepted to be in that. Can you imagine? A old man, 60 years old. This man has a wife, and I believe he has his own children as well. So, he also said that some of the offenses were carried out after he convinced his victims to take part in a spiritual bathing. I've already mentioned that, which he claimed would cleanse them of evil spirit. Please, if you know within yourself that you don't have an evil spirit, and the pastor is telling you that, oh, I need to do spiritual bathing for you, this is an opportunity for you to run 440, because what evil spirit are you cleansing? That's one of his tactics he used in catching all his victims. And he also said that so like I said, why this news was not mainly available was because it says here that he was convicted on Friday after a trial at Birmingham Crown Court, and his offending can now be reported after restrictions were lifted. So obviously this news was undercover, but then when he was convicted, they released it. So that's why me and every other social media out there are reporting it. So the annoying thing is that this pastor is a pharmacist, is a qualified pharmacist. Yes. So it says that during the trial, a jury heard that some of his young female victims became pregnant multiple times, but were taken to abortion clinics by qualified pharmacist Oluronbi to cover up what was happening. Yes, he is a qualified pharmacist. It would have been easier for him to bring his victim into his clinic, even write a prescription for termination of pregnancy medications, and then, you know, we all know so many things going on, you know, behind the back door. There are lots of prescriptions that are being written to people that don't even exist. I'm sure that was the way he was able to carry out his acts. So he was convicted of 15 counts of rape, 7 counts of indecent assault, and 2 counts of sexual assault. The 60-year-old's wife Juliana was convicted of 3 counts of aiding and abetting rape after helping arrange some of the terminations. The religious leader was brought to justice after one of his victims, now an adult, came forward. So he actually started picking his victims from when they were children, according to this report. So jurors heard that Oluronbi was linked to a Christian church in Edgbaston, Birmingham, the Cherubim and Seraphim Church, which has roots in Nigeria. He set up his own splinter group for about 40 adults and children, separate to the church and located at another address, where he began a practice of spiritual bathing. So there was normally a normal church, but then he set up his own mini church where about 40 people also go there, and that was how he was able to start his own spiritual bathing. So the offences took place in Birmingham and in London. So he also said here that the prosecuting jury heard that Mr. Oluronbi used what he calls spiritual work as a subterfuge for that sexual abuse. Yeah, this is more or less like a 60-year-old pedophile. That's what it is, nothing else. The tactic he employed was to claim that God had instructed him to administer holy baths to some of his congregation in order to cleanse them and protect them from evil. And this activity began on his victims from when they were children. Yeah. In this regard, that is when I was said earlier on that, so if he started picking his victim as children's, so I would have imagined that he would have said to these children's parents that, oh, God spoke to me that I need to cleanse your child for good health, for academic successes, you know. And then as a parent, did you now just hand over your kid to him and leave? Or as a parent, were you there when he was carrying out the spiritual birth? I would really love to understand, because for him to be able to abuse all these children, I want to believe that these children's parents left their kids with him because they trusted him as a pastor who wouldn't do any harm. So that's why I said, does parents or do the parents of these victims have a fault as well? Let me know in the comment section if you buy into that idea. Because how can a pastor come to you and say, oh, God has spoken to me that your child needs to be cleansed. Your child needs to be cleansed so your child needs to take a spiritual bathing so they could get spiritual cleansing for their academic success, for good health, and so many other things like that. And as a parent, you just hand your child over. And to the best of my knowledge, all this bathing happens every hour of the day. It could be during the day, it could be nighttime. So as a parent, did they just leave their kids with this man and go? Let me know in the comment section, because that's what I think happened. Because if that did not happen, there was no way he would have been able to carry out all of this abuse on his victims. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, people. So he added that for some of the female victims, the offending progressed to repeated rapes on many occasions, leading to unwanted pregnancies and terminations. Yes, so it will go in the disguise of having spiritual birth with them. For them, it would RAP them several times, which often lead to his female victims getting pregnant, and then he takes them to an abortion clinic to terminate the pregnancies. Like, did he ever think that if that was his own daughter, because I believe this man had children, I'm going to confirm, I'm going to be checking if he has children. What if that was his own daughter or his own daughters? He also said that you will learn that this man who was revered and feared by his victim, he was feared. How can you go to a church and you fear your pastor? Like, make it make sense. That is where you should have been speaking to your sense. If you go to a congregation, regardless of what church it is, and your spirit is telling you never to return to that church, please listen to your instinct and do not go back to that church. Mr. Oluronbi described him as controlling and almost like a king. His victims described the pastor as controlling and almost like a king. Like, seriously? After the verdict, the Western Midland Police said Oluronbi convinced the children through conversations with parents to take them to spiritual birth. So he had a conversation with the parents. So the parents just willingly leave their kids with him. Like, those parents should be held accountable as well. They should be jailed as well, because how can someone tell you that, okay, I had a conversation with you as a parent that your child needs spiritual bathing, and then you hand over your kids to them and you leave? What happened to you staying to watch whatever it's going to do, but then you left your kids with him? So those parents in this regard should be held accountable as well, and at some point be charged with abetting and whatever they call it as well, because they willingly handed their children over to him and they left. Like, his victims were children. He started molesting them from when they were young up until their mid-adult age. So he convinced a number of children that this can benefit them either religiously, from a health perspective, or educationally. Like, oh, if you get spiritual cleansing, you excel in your GCSE, you pass your Nat 5, Nat 4. I guess that was how we went through them, through their parents. And then they'll be taken upstairs to the bathroom, stripped naked, and sometimes wearing a red girdle like a sash. I'm going to pop an image here, and it would wash them down. On occasion, it will sexually assault them, but also take them to an adjacent bedroom and subject them to sexual assault and RAPE. Like, how did this even happen to an extent that it spanned over 20 years? 20 years, Nigerian pastor in the UK. I mean, this happened also in white churches. I mean, there's been times they've described white churches as cults, you know. So I'm not surprised that this happened here, but I would have thought that our Nigerians who are here in the UK will shine their eye like Congo and not let that happen, because we've heard cases of it happening in Nigeria. And you would think that such would not happen here in the UK or in the abroad. But guess what? It happened. So the offending happened over a period of 20 years at various locations going back to 1980s. I was not even born then. Can you imagine? You know, like I said, some of his victims describe his own mini church as a cult. He has also been confronted on occasions by relatives and parents. He never made admissions and even blamed the devil for it on some occasions. Yeah, he blamed the devil as always. You know, this pastor at some point, he tried to flee to Nigeria. He was arrested at the Birmingham airport with an exorbitant amount of cash. Tell me, if he was not running away from his crimes, why would he be traveling with such amount of money? So I am happy that he got arrested, because if he had left for Nigeria, he would have been able to get away with this crime. But I'm happy that the hand of justice caught up with him. So I would imagine that all of his victims, for the fact that they were quite young when this abuse started, it will have messed them up emotionally, physically, in all ramifications. It will have messed them up. And at some point in court, it was heard that one of his victims had about 5 or 6 abortions. Like, where was this child's parent? Where were they? I guess they will have handed their kid to him as normal, and then they will have long gone. You wonder why some people don't attend night vigil. Or you wonder why some people don't want to go to church, because of all of these shenanigans that happen in Nigerian churches, or non-Nigerian churches alone. We've heard of white churches that are being classed as cults as well. But in this case, I am super angry that some parents allowed a pastor take over the life of their young children only for them to become damaged, because these victims, they are now old enough, they are grown-ups, they are damaged. They are damaged. Tell me, how would they feel going into a relationship with a man? Or how would a male feel going into a relationship with a woman? Especially look at one of the victims who had 5 to 6 abortions. Like, at the end of the day, I'm happy again that, a secret was opened out, it was caught, and he's going to spend the rest of his life in jail. And I hope he never get released, and I hope his wife never get released as well. Like, guys, let me know in the comment section, how did it happen to this extent? Like, obviously as a Nigerian, for me now, somebody cannot come to me and tell me that, oh, the Lord said that you need to go and do spiritual bathing for your children so that they can excel in their studies. I'll tell him to put that message from the Lord into his ANUS. I'll tell him to put it there, because I don't need it. So he went through all of these shameless, idiot tactics to take over these people's victims, their children, to get them damaged, committing abortions, so many things. Guys, I am not against Nigerian pastors. I am not against Christians, regardless of your denomination. But my message in this video to you is that never ever allow some spiritual pastors, spiritual daddy in the Lord, spiritual mother in the Lord, put ogogoro into your gari or pour sand into your gari. If they are telling you that your child needs to go for a spiritual bathing, stay there with them. If they are going to do it at 3 midnight, be there. Watch whatever they are doing, because I guess these parents just left their children with this man and go. Hence why he was able to do all of the things he did with those innocent victims. I'm super happy that he was caught and he's going to spend the rest of his life in jail. Same thing goes for his wife, and I hope he never comes out. And I hope that while he's in jail, people find out what he did and they will teach him a hard lesson as well. Guys, let me know what you think in this comment section. Do you think maybe the victims also, for not speaking up, could have contributed to this happening to them? Do you think the parents of these children also contributed to this man doing this to their children? And yes, it's been mentioned he's going to be in jail for 34 years. Do you think he deserves more than that? Let me know in the comment section. This is the end of my video, guys. Like I said, let this serve as a open high video for you. It's not about bashing anybody, no. It's just to serve as a warning to those of you who attend any of those churches that offer you spiritual bathing, vigil somewhere, vigil in the mountain, vigil in the 7 mountains, vigil in the 7 seas. Open your eye and do not fall victim, and do not allow any member of your family fall victim to all these shenanigans. Right, if you've watched the video till now and you're yet to subscribe, what are you waiting for? So don't forget to drop a comment in the comment section. Subscribe if you're yet to do so. Turn on the post notification so you don't miss any other post from me. Share this video, and I hope to catch up with you in my next video. Alright, bye.